Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests and investors. And my name is Ganbold, and I'm head of the Project Development and Management Division at Erdenes ITP. So today I would like to introduce a new era in Mongolian economic development, one that goes beyond mining extraction and raw material export, but towards the industrialization and manufacturing and a long-term value creation. So for many years, Mongolia has been recognized globally for its vast mineral resources, and the mining sector became the core industry of our economy. So however, the resources alone do not create maximum value and benefit, and the real value is created when the resources are processed and transformed into value-added products and connected to the global markets. And that is why we believe that Mongolia's next growth engine will be the industrial sector, and specifically as industrial parks. So before discussing the project, let me briefly introduce our parent company, Erdenes Mongol Group. So Erdenes Mongol is the Mongolia's largest state-owned mining corporation. It manages some of the country's most important national assets in the mines through 33 subsidiary companies and operating in the mining and exploration, also the processing. So in the last year, the group delivered a strong financial performance. As you can see, 30.6 billion RMB in revenue and 10.2 billion RMB in profit, and we are managing the 65.2 billion RMB in total assets. So these figures reflects both financial strength and operational capability, and beyond numbers, the Erdenes Mongol plays a vital role in the Mongolian national economy. We account around 18% of our total national tax income and 28% of our national total export, and also we are contributing around 20% of our total GDP. So these numbers are actually this foundation that gives the credibility and confidence to the industrial park projects that we are developing today. So for many years, what we did was extracting the mineral resources and export it as a raw. But the last few years, the government has changing its policy direction. So the long-term development policy, the Vision 2050, and also the 4 years the government action plan, all focused on advancing the industrial sector as adapting industrial park model. So our objective is clear: to move Mongolia from the resource export country to a value-added industrial economy. So Erdenes ITP is an industrial park management company, so we are aiming to establish the 6 industrial park projects based on the Erdenes Mongol's resource and assets. And we do planning and development, and also after the development, we are responsible for the management of the industrial parks. So Mongolia offers a rare combination of the advantage for industrial investors. The first is the resource scale. So we have globally significant reserve of copper, coal, and iron ore, fluorspar, and many other minerals. And also in our exploration sector, there is a big potential. And as for today, there's 50,000 scales of geological mapping and prospecting only finished in 52% of our total land. So there could be more deposits and minerals in our land. And the second is renewable energy potential. So Mongolia has exceptional natural conditions for future energy supply, including around 1,100 gigawatts of wind energy potential, and also the 2,200 gigawatts of solar energy potential. And also the third is the land availability, the low congestion. So compared with the many other industrial markets, the Mongolia has substantial space for new industrial zones and the infrastructure expansion. So we are offering about the 5,000 hectares land to develop in our 6 industrial parks. So together, this advantage create a strong platform for competitive and industrial development. So at the same time, we are experiencing some challenges and difficulties. For example, our mineral processing rate is so small. We produce around 1.4 million tons of copper concentrate annually, but only 2% is final product, like a copper cathode. And we're also extracting over 100 million tons of coal, but only the 9% is processed. In iron ore and fluorspar, its processing rate is almost 0. And also, the of our export is from the mining sector, and after that, the 95% is non-processed raw ore. But on the other hand, 95% of our import is the final goods, the products, and I believe that many of them potentially be produced domestically using those the minerals that we are exporting. And also in the energy sector, so we are facing a lack of electricity supply and importing around 25% of our total consumption from Russia and China. And so these are the challenge, the problems that we are facing right now. But in terms of business perspective, from the businessman view, so this challenge, this issue is actually the opportunity. And this opportunity is actually, there's a big space for the investors to expand their business in Mongolia, especially in the industrial sector. So how do we turn the opportunity into reality? So Erdenes ITP, our role is organize the full industrial ecosystem. So we are building industrial platform that helps and support the investors and industrial developers. We combine, integrate the resource and partnership. And this is important because the industrial success is never created by the one stakeholder alone, and it requires the coordination. And our mission is to make the coordination to efficient and investor-friendly way. So we often describe this as a building industrial nest, just like a bird nest, and a place where the business can enter with lower friction and a stronger support system and the faster pathways to operation. So those are the 6 industrial parks we are developing today. So the copper processing park and steel manufacturing park and building material manufacturing park, and also the brown coal processing park, which is the coal chemical complex, and the fluorspar processing park and coke chemical processing park. So to support the investors, the Mongolia also offers a range of tax and non-tax incentives for industrial investors. So that includes the custom duty waivers for 5 years, an extended value-added tax payment arrangement, and also the exemption from the land fees for up to 10 years, and also the property tax exemptions and reductions. And non-tax incentives includes accelerated depreciation methods for CapEx, and also there is simplified visa and residency procedures for investors and specialists. So beyond the incentives, the investors also value the legal protection and predictability. So Mongolia is a participant in a major international frameworks, including the international conventions, also the bilateral investment agreement and double taxation agreements with many countries. And we also provide the possibility of tax stabilization certificate for qualified investors. So that depends on the investment amount of the investors. So that means the investors can plan a long-term project with a greater certainty on taxes and operating conditions. So across the 6 industrial parks, so the total identified investment requirement is approximately the 64.3 billion RMB. And this reflects the scale of the opportunity and potential. And to date, around 367 million RMB has been already invested in early stage development and preparation. So we are offering the multiple entry models depending on investors' objectives and risk appetites. The first is a co-investment and joint venture. And this is ideal for the national strategic anchor industries such as the copper smelting and integrated steel production, the coal chemical plant, and coke energy projects. And also the second one is the 100% private ownership, the equity financing. So investors may establish, they operate their own manufacturing business inside the industrial park ecosystem. So this model provides a full operational control, while benefiting from the shared infrastructure, industrial clustering, and also the policy support. So generally, the investor can choose the structure that best fits their strategy. We also see the major opportunities beyond the factories themselves. So industrial growth requires enabling infrastructure that includes the power generation, the rail connections, the logistic hubs, and water systems, etc. And these projects may be structured through the PPP model, the public-private partnership, and that also can be the BOT, BT, and other the long-term partnership models. So for many investors, this creates the stable and predictable return profiles linked to the industrial demand. So there is also the real estate opportunity. Industrial activity grows, the demand rises for the ready-built factories and the leased facilities and commercial zones and also the warehouse. So this project can be financed by 100% equity finance. So finally, so we are planning on an industrial park investment fund together with the Mongolian Development Bank and also the Erdenes Mongol Group, including the private investors at international financial institutions. So this industrial park investment fund is actually financed the primary plant and also the private manufacturing infrastructure and the industrial real estate projects. So let me highlight the flagship projects currently we are developing. So first is the copper smelter project. So this project is designed to produce the high-value refined outputs, including cathode copper, gold, silver, and some byproducts. And as you can see, the investment is about 5.2 billion RMB, and it has a strong revenue potential and positive NPV. And this project is important not only commercially, but also nationally, because it moves the Mongolia higher in the copper value chain. You know, next one is integrated steel plant project. So this project targets the annual production of steel products, including rebar and billet and grinding balls. And total investment is about 5.4 billion RMB. So instead of importing the steel products, the Mongolia can produce them more domestically and supply the regional markets over time. And these two projects, both the strategic investor selection process is now under process. So next one is the fluorspar processing cluster. So Mongolia is actually the global leader in the fluorspar market. So we ranked fourth in the world by our reserves, second in the world by our extract volume, the first in the world by export. But unfortunately, so most of the fluorspar export is a raw ore rather than a value-added product. So as you may know, the fluorspar is one of the critical minerals in the world, and that is why we are developing the fluorspar processing cluster that can expand the high-value chemical products such as the hydrogen fluoride, aluminum fluoride, and sulfuric acid and the other related downstream products. And at the same time, so our 6th industrial park will require the substantial power supply. So total our energy demand is around 670 megawatts, and that creates actually immediate opportunities for renewable energy developers. So we are planning to have 30% of our energy supplies from the renewable energy, so that is around 200 megawatts, and each industrial park has its own 20 to 30 megawatts of scale of renewable energy project. And with the world-class the wind and solar potential, so Mongolia can power the future industry with cleaner and more competitive energy solutions. So this kind of renewable energy project can be financed by the many terms of partnerships like equity finance and joint venture and also the PPP model. And ladies and gentlemen, Mongolia is entering a new era, so era where growth is driven not only by extraction but manufacturing, and not only by the short-term trade cycle, but long-term industrial capability. So we believe the industrial parks are the platform that will unlock that future. So we invite the distinguished investors and developers and strategic partners to join us in building the Mongolians' next growth engine. Thank you very much.